我们先看大家怎么批评 Rawls 的理论. Okay, what are the main criticisms? So the first is, what should count as a primary good? 好吗? What is a primary good? Okay, is it pure social thing like freedom or income or power or opportunity? Or is it also physical or mental handicaps? Maybe those too should be considered as natural inequalities that ought to be compensated for by the state. Anyway, this is just one point. And then, I assume you read the Will Kimlicka article. There's a very good example there about the gardener versus the tennis player. 你们看了吗？有人可以这个例子是什么？你们都记得吗？
咱俩说其实都这样的，我可以选择在同样的先天的，我的身体条件、我的社会背景、我的社会资源条件下，我可以去选择去劳动，然后使我的资源去翻倍。我也可以选择去享受，从而获得昂贵，在昂贵的代价之下去获得幸福的生活。但这样呢，随着时间的变迁，那么选择昂贵的代价去获得幸福生活的人，他的资源又会在减少。而那个去选择辛勤劳动的园丁，他最后他的资源一定会翻倍。到最后你会发现，辛勤劳动的人，他的资本一定比那个选择享受的人要多了。那么根据罗尔斯的原则，他就是这个获得了资本的人，反倒要去为那个选择享受的人去付出代价。也就是说，因为就是说，罗尔斯试图让选择成为理想公平的唯一原则，但是却让我为了我的选择付出代价。
对，所以对，基本上是这个意思。对，所以如果我们开学的时候我们都有一样的资源，但是我比较懒，你比较努力，然后但是我们一样聪明，其他的东西都是一样，但是我比较懒，他比较努力，然后慢慢来，他的资源比我多。按照罗尔斯的理论，这个是不公平的。但是我们觉得，什么问题呢？不是一个问题，对不对？ So, the theory is not sensitive to ambition or effort. Ambition or effort 也很重要，但是罗尔斯他不重视这些因素。Okay? So, just because 我比较懒，我喜欢享受生活，我喜欢喝酒啊，等等，就是因为这个，政府都应该给我一些资源呢？不应该，对不对？ So, it's unjust if people demand to be paid for the cost of their expensive choices. But Rawls's theory does not take this into account. Okay? So, people's fate should depend on their ambitions. You know, whoever is hardworking, maybe, or less lazy. Yes, natural and social endowment should not influence how much resources get. Right? Just because I'm born smart or from a rich family, that should not influence how much money I get. But if I'm hardworking and ambitious as compared to somebody who is lazy, then that does matter. So a distributive scheme respects the moral equality of persons by compensating for unequal circumstances like family or race or sex, while still holding individuals responsible for their choices. Ambition and effort matters. So another theorist, Ronald Dworkin, who died a few years ago, who came to China, very huge success when he came to China, he developed a theory which is similar to Rawls, but it's also sensitive to ambition and effort. It's a little bit complicated, so we won't discuss it in great detail. Many people criticize his theory because it's saying, well, how can we know exactly what is equal in terms of starting points, and how can we know what will happen in the future? But anyway, 因为时间有限，所以现在我们不讨论这些，好吗？ Now, remember, according to the Will Kimlicka article that I asked you to read, he argues that liberals, in fact, liberals meaning those who agree with Rawls's theory of justice, okay? That's what he means by liberals, okay? 不是, you know, 跟中国的自由主义者不一样，他的意思是说，自由主义者就是大家按照罗尔斯的理论来考虑怎么分配资源的问题。 Those people, if we all agree that people should start life with an equal share of resources, unless inequality benefits the worst well off, then this is a very radical attack on capitalist societies where people are very unequal because of their race or sex or family background, especially class now. People recognize in societies like the United States, hugely important. If I'm born into a rich family, it makes it so much easier for me to do well in society than if I'm born into a poor family. Of course, China has a similar problem as well. But this would require very radical solutions, not just increasing the taxation on the rich, but even things like, there's a big discussion now about equal basic income, 需要平等的基本收入，大家很多人在讨论这些问题。Worker self-ownership, 劳动者的自我所有权, and even people who stay at home, you know, housewives or house husbands should get some money. So basically, actually it's very interesting now because this was written about 15 years ago, but now these are quite mainstream views. If you follow the debates now, especially in the US Democratic Party, more and more people are arguing for very radical ways of dealing with these entrenched inequalities. You know, maybe even 需要革命，也有人这么说, okay? So welfare state, liberals, they're two, this is a bit out of date, right? Will Kimlicka wrote this maybe 15 years ago, but now I think there's much more emphasis on more radical ways of dealing with inequality. Now, this is an issue, of course, which matters, hugely important. According to Rawls's theory, we should never restrict liberty for the sake of redistributing resources. While there is one extreme exception, extreme material deprivation, but maybe that's not a good way of thinking about things either. Finally, a lot of people now argue that this is too state-centric. It all focuses on distribution within a country. What about distribution on a global world? 应该是国家分配资源还是国际分配资源？这个问题也有很多人在讨论。Even if you have a fair distribution within a state, if the rest of the world is treated in a bad way, that's not fair either. So there's a famous, one of Rawls's students, his name is Thomas Pogge. 我不知道他中文的名字是什么，他经常来中国。Thomas Pogge, 他中文的名字，反正他是罗尔斯的学生，然后他觉得这个倡议原则应该是国际的原则，而不是国家的原则。